Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Chet Zeken, President of Smarter Equipment Finance. Thanks for joining me, Chet.
Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Nah, it's glad to have you on the program, man. I've been fortunate to know you for a few years now, so looking forward to kind of hearing your story and the Smarter Equipment Finance story. But before I dive in here, I want to let's talk about those art pieces behind you, if you don't mind. Like, are you an art enthusiast? If when you come to my house, you'll see kind of what we've turned this thing into, like an art museum. Like, those are cool pieces, dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So during COVID is where I kind of found another, like, a creative outlet for myself. And locked up in a house, and we had spent my gal and I had spent some time doing, like, one of those, like, you drink some wine and you paint a picture. I was like, well, this is actually fun, and we need stuff to do, so we just started doing that, and it became a passion of mine. So yeah, I do a lot of painting. We have a couple pieces up in the office, but they're more just.
Wait, so those are yours? Those are yours?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thanks, man. This is my little Zen room. This brings me happy.
All right. Yeah, I see the little Buddha down there. All right. Yeah, you got yeah, okay. All right. I did not know. I was like, who's the artist? And where'd you meet him? Sure enough, there you are. All right. It's awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right. So, Chet, for those individuals in the industry who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career to date?
Yeah, sure. So, I've been in the industry now since 2000. I got into the industry when I was 21, and just kind of like most people, I tripped, fell, and landed in the industry. Didn't know it existed, and that's everybody's story, right? But I actually got my start in this industry through a temp agency to be a lead cold caller for a company out in Chicago a long time ago. It's one of those things where if I didn't make it to the 90 days, they wouldn't have to pay for me. So I had to really, really show up during those times. And so that's kind of how I got my start. But I worked into a sales role, full-time sales role, full commission, and then running a small team, and then things just mature, and it's been a cool run, man. I've been part of a couple smaller organizations, a direct lender, a couple large companies, and I met my one of my business partners, Rob, actually at a NIFA event many years ago. I was working for a competitor, and he and I, we got along really well. We both have this distrust for a lot of our competitors, how things are handled a lot of times in the broker world. We kind of bonded over that. And so, we had made a decision to go ahead and get this company together, and just try to do things a little bit differently than a lot of others have. Not to say everybody, but I think you know what I mean. Eight and a half years later, we're still rocking. We've had the bumps just like everybody else, but I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished so far.
That's fantastic, and that's funny. Like, the first 90 days, if you don't make so many phone calls. I mean, my first sales job, there was 30 of us that went to training, and I was like, "What's the turnover here?" And he's like, 100%.
90%.
100%. Wait, what? And sure enough, like 6 months later, I think there was 2 of us left, and I'm like, "Wow,
that's how it is
for everybody."
Yeah, it's went through something similar, and it's it'll really it'll kind of set you right away on, like, do I want this job or not? But it also kind of puts you in a situation where you want to go after that job because it can be taken away. I didn't know if I really wanted the job, but I definitely didn't want to get fired. Right?
I want to set the terms. It's my terms, not whatever, like, mid-level guy who's been doing this for how many years.
Yeah. So, I'd never done cold calling before, so it was really interesting for me. I'd done like in-person sales, retail, that type of stuff, commission-based. But yeah, this was a pretty exciting, eye-opening experience, right? I had no idea that the industry existed, just like pretty much anybody else. Um, but very quickly saw the opportunity, and yeah, I feel like it's been a good place for me to be able to capitalize on my personal strengths, and yeah, I love it. Here's that.
Perfect. Perfect. So 8.5 years. Let's talk about smarter equipment
Sure.
finance, if you don't mind. And I like the name, I mean, because
Thanks.
kind of like anything else, right? We sit there and it's like, oh, why can't you do that a little bit better? Why can't we do that a little better? Why can't we have some more transparency? And then you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to bet on myself and just go do it.
Yeah, well, it's great until somebody comes out with smartest equipment finance. Then I'll be a little regretful, but
Smarter,
7 minute abs. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so we're focused. We're generalists, right? But we do we've got a lot of volume in title vehicle space, construction. We do a lot of drilling. We've got some medical vendors that we do some great work with. Um, and we got a couple people that are kind of trying to tackle some of the U.S. based manufacturing right now. Obviously, that's a little bit of a hot topic, right? We try to make ourselves available for pretty much any customer that needs us, but we definitely have some core strengths in industries that we serve traditionally around heavy and titled assets. Um, and we're located in Las Vegas. We've got a nice corporate office there, and about 2/3 of our company works there, and we've got people that work remote in a few different states. Got another business partner, Larry. He runs a sales team. Known him for a long time, and he's out of Texas. We've got some people out there. So, all in all, we got 23 standing proud at Smarter Finance.
That's awesome.
And yeah, we're not really sure. We had some growth plans for the year, but first quarter has been great, and at the same time, there's a lot of uncertainty. So we'll just kind of play it, but play by ear. Just be smart about it.
Seems I like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of status quo. Um, it seems to be more optimism this year than last year for sure,
Hmm.
but still, there's that kind of underlying. Uh,
Yeah, this has been great. Don't get me wrong. It's been lights out since the beginning of the year, and at the same time, like, oh man, who just really have no idea. There's a lot of uncertainty, but hopefully it all just kind of all just come out in the wash, right? There's stuff that we have control over, and then there's not, right? And so, we stay in our lane, we focus on what we have control over, and we watch the things that we don't, and we just make decisions as necessary, right?
all you can do. Otherwise, you sit there and stare at the TV, and then you just go insane for stuff that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think is going to impact you, and it never does.
yeah. That's usually how it goes, right?
So, when you guys were starting, would you classify, excuse me, would you classify yourself today as a broker or funder?
Yeah, no, we're a broker. We do have discounting relationships with several lenders, so in that sense, on paper we'd be a funder, but no, we're a broker.
Okay.
We'd taken a look a couple of times at potentially getting a line of credit and starting to do some in-house holding, but when that was happening, the equipment prices were at the all-time high, and it just obviously didn't make sense to do it then. It's something that we were hoping to consider again, but it's more just for giving our customers a little bit more flexibility and having a little bit more control over the content of the contracts. Um, but yeah, we're still playing with everybody else's money, so we got to make sure we're taking care of not just the customer and the vendor, but taking care of our lender partners as well.
Sure.
I think we do.
Sure. No, I mean, you guys do a great job with that. I always like to ask that question because it's
Mhm.
almost like it's you know, what is the maturation of an equipment finance organization?
Sure.
So it's just at some point, do they want to hold their own book? At some point, like, oh, wow, this asset's too great. Why am I going to give this up to somebody else? I want this, 3 to 5 year return on this.
Yeah, that's the talk. I think we need to restructure a little bit internally, to have the capacity to do that, right? There's taking on some additional risk, and then there's the legal side of that. We want to make sure that everything is perfect, and quite frankly, it's challenging enough to do that as a broker at times. So, on our end, we're go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say because from a fee or commission perspective,
Yeah.
you guys get all that up front, as opposed to if you're holding it, then you don't see a lot of that return for the end of it, and then it's kind of like, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And then there's also the part where, it's not really adding, long-term value to the business, right? It's just, money in, money out. It's like a cash flow based business a lot. But I feel like we've gotten pretty good at it. And, we've been on a little bit of a tear for the last year or so. Very consistent numbers. Our team's numbers are increasing, and, I don't really want to go in there and mess with that right now.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Then it's like, okay, now I need a system to manage this, or I need to pay a third party servicer to do it, or
Yeah,
bring on more headcount. Yeah,
we'll get there. We'll get there. I don't think we're not in a race to get there, but yeah, that's definitely kind of the next step for us once we organize our tech a little bit more. That might be something we look at. Yeah.
perfect segue into the next bullet point I was going to bring up. So thank you, Chet. Um, as I interview quite a few people, brokers to funders, but they're just getting started or been around for a while. And one of the things they always talk about is uh, investments in technology and marketing, and they wish they would have done that faster.
Yeah.
I know you and Rob have been traditionally on the cutting edge of that stuff, is always looking to make those investments. So
Mhm.
kind
We
of
try.
how has that strategy played itself out for you guys so far?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So, we initially, started off with a CRM that wasn't necessarily a great fit for us, and we moved into like a kind of like a pre-built, or excuse me, like a custom-built template on a system called Zoho, and that worked great.
Sure.
Um, we could end up building workflows, and the system can help us out a little bit, but it really doesn't have the power to take us to that next level. It was more about just organizing our data than it was about using the data to move us forward, right? And so we moved into LeasePath about 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. Um, and it really kind of opened our eyes on, what type of technology is out there for our space. Um, I'm not a person that goes out and spends a lot of time, staring at technology. Like I look for ways to try to find it useful. Um, but until you really immerse yourself in what's available, you don't really know what the possibilities are. And so you think that you kind of have the best system that you got, right? And so when we moved into LeasePath, right, we started to be able to incorporate more workflows. Our system's able to do some of the work for us, and that's worked really well. And we're happy with it. And then we've been building tools along top, or on top, or to run side by side with our CRM. One of which is really cool and unique. It's an AI tool that we use for um, a few different places in our workflow. For instance, if one of my sales reps gets an application and an invoice from a vendor, we'll upload that, and this AI tool will scrape the application, scrape the invoice, add everything into our CRM. We can trigger a workflow to pull credit, pull the SOS, and all of this is done within seconds. Um, 30 seconds is usually the completion for all of those things to happen. Um, and and then we have a second part of that workflow, which takes the, all of the data that we get from the application, credit reports, if we pull business credit or anything like that, and it compares the customer's qualifications against all of our lenders' criteria and requirements. And what this tool does is, instead of us going in trying to, eyeballing where's the best fit for this deal, this system has all of the lender criteria already inputted. And so when it compares, it actually provides a few results to my credit team and to my sales team. These are the great, the best fits, right? And so that helps us determine, do we need to go back and get more information? Are the customer's expectations in line with the reality that we see on the deal? And are using the lenders that we have available for that customer, are we going to be able to perform as the customer is expecting us to perform with regards to turn times, yields, down payments, all that fun stuff. So technology has really taken us to the next level, and that's just on the sales side. So that's we've been able to free up about 45 minutes to an hour of time per day for every single person on the sales team, by removing the need for all this data entry and comparing tools. And we've really been able to sharpen up our credit team as well. Getting through deals a lot faster. Things are cleaner. Our lenders tend to really love how we organize everything in the same fashion. It's very clean and concise. I think the presentation is important. The technology helps out with that. But it's providing us additional funds to grow the business. Instead of spending those on payroll, right? We're able to put that money back into the business through either additional tech tools, marketing supports. Going bowling next week, so we'll do that. We'll spend some of that payroll money on bowling.
That's fantastic. Well, I mean, you are in Vegas, so I mean,
There's a bowling alley in every casino, so they're not that hard to find.
No, that's fantastic. What's interesting though is you guys are putting all that stuff in a bow to your lenders, and then the lenders probably haven't invested in technology and they're manually typing everything in.
Well, so that's actually what's happening. As a matter of fact, we've connected our developers with a couple of our lenders to hopefully speed us up a little bit, because we're still having to enter this into portals at times. But look, I mean, everybody's got to move at their own speed, right? And I understand, like, a part of a large lender, that's like turning a barge in a river. I can
we get some of these requirements, Chet, on these projects that we work on.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, and by the way, this input portal needs to be this way for like Coca-Cola, this way for, this other. It's just like, wait a minute, but like,
yeah.
No.
Well, look, that's all the reason why it's important to have a good tech partner, right? We work with Mike Varney, who's part of Rinaldi's group. And then we work with the company. I think I might have introduced you to them at the show, called Codge. They're the one that are building the tools for us. And I mean, we really had no idea that these things existed until we started immersing ourselves in the possibilities. And now we're just trying things. What we have been doing recently is we just whiteboarded our entire sales process from start to finish. Everything from the initial application entry all the way down to verbal verification and getting vendors paid. And the reason we did that is because we looked at all of our steps in the order. First, make certain can we speed up the process by moving some of these things around a little bit within reason, but also looking at the time that it takes to complete each of those tasks. And then just tapping our technology partners to find out what can we do with this, right? We didn't necessarily have in mind to build AI tools. We had challenges in mind, and so we looked to tech to help us solve those situations. And lo and behold, what would take an hour a day for each salesperson, we're getting 20, we're getting, we have 13 salespeople. So we get 13 free hour or additional hours of time from our sales team that they can use to work deals. And our credit team, they're lightning fast and, about as accurate as you can get.
Well, no, that's awesome. And you mentioned earlier where it's like you can bastardize a platform like Zoho and get it to work.
Yeah.
But it's also the economies. I don't know if that's the word I'm thinking about, but when you're on a platform with other equipment finance companies, like organizations like LeasePath, they will make the investment if it's not only going to help you, but if it's going to help others. So you're not just there in a custom solution by yourself. You're taking advantage of other people that are going to be paving the way on the other technology too. So
it's like a technology support group.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. Or what does Jeff call it? The League of LeasePath? Is that what he calls it?
LeasePath. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? It's like, what are the challenges? What would have, what have other companies in our situation come up with in order to solve some problems? Connected with another LeasePath user last week that's also on LeasePath, and they're trying some marketing tools. So we're sharing what's working with one another. We met at NIFA. We found out, are we competitors? Yeah, but we're all running into the same challenges. I think I look at the leasing industry as like a small community, right? I think helping each other out, quite frankly, one, give you a couple of karma points, but at the end of the day, we're all kind of in this together. Is how I look at it.
You hit the nail on the head. The scarcity mentality really shouldn't be playing in this vertical. There's enough to go around. I think the key thing is just doing it the right way, and that's what people just need to understand. Where it's like, look, yeah, I'm your competitor. That's fine, dude. Go ahead. You know where my skill sets are. Let's see you on the next one.
I'm not scared. Fine. We're not going to win every deal. Fine. We're going to win more than we lose, and that's okay.
Yeah. There you go. So speaking of NIFA, I know we were together a couple weeks ago in Carlsbad for their spring conference, but just kind of wanted to talk about NEFA and AACFB and kind of what those trade associations have meant to your career, and I'm sure they played an instrumental role in starting this organization as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I met my one of my business partners at a NIFA event. He was actually a broker working through the company that I was with at the time. I think, quite frankly, we kind of got our start at a NIFA event also. We had started our business in October of, gosh, when is it? 2016? My goodness. Yeah, in October. And then there was a NIFA event right after that was in Long Beach. Okay, so we went there. I met some of these people at trade shows before as I was, representing a lender. But to be there as a broker was a unique experience for me. It was new anyways. And we met people like, I'll give you an example, like Mike Kuhn, who's at Hanmi Bank, and he was at Amur at the time. He took a shot on us. He gave us an opportunity to kind of step up to the plate. He and I connected in the past, but, we were a brand new broker on the street at that point, right? And he gave us an opportunity to connect with Amur and start doing deals. And, that was one of the first funding sources that really kind of took a shot on, this brand new company. We had some, I had some experience, but that relationship was formed at a NIFA event. And, quite frankly, I'd say the majority of the lenders that we work with, we either met them for the first time at a NIFA or AACFB event, or that was the first time we got to have that actual FaceTime and start building a little bit more of a relationship than you can really do over email, right? So as much as I would love to go to the East Coast shows, it does get a little bit challenging to dip
Sure.
out 4 times a year. But I always try to go to both of the West Coast conferences for NEFA and AACFB. I've never come away from one of those events feeling like my time would have been better suited doing anything else, quite frankly. To really take advantage of getting to know people, building those relationships, to me has been vital and incredibly helpful.
Sure. And then, the location for the AACFB a week after this published, I mean, you can't get any better than that.
No, absolutely not. I'll still get a hotel room because I'm about as far from the strip as you could be in the Las Vegas. I'm like the last street before nothing. And so I'll be spending either an hour and a half in Ubers back and forth, or I can get an extra hour and a half of sleep. I'll vote sleep. But yeah, I love it when people come out here. When the conference is in town. I do like to travel, especially like to go to California. But I think we'll have better weather at this year.
That was kind of gnarly.
The monsoon.
Are you from Vegas area originally?
No, not at all. I'm originally from outside of Chicago. And that's actually where I got my start in the industry. At is a company called Nationwide Funding. The company moved to California, and then I've moved with the company and assumed the sales manager role at that time. And I do like living in the city. Orange County was beautiful. It was a little slow moving for me, but now that I'm in the city, right, of Vegas, I'm like, well, the Orange County scene was really nice. I'd kind of like to get back to that.
Well, there's not a shortage of leasing companies in OC, that's for sure. I was actually walking out of one meeting,
yeah,
and I looked up, and I'm like, that's Regions Capital's office.
Yeah.
Texted Don. I'm like, hey, are you there? Walked right over and just went right up.
Yeah, isn't that the case, right? If you're within Orange County Airport, you're within 10 miles of like a quarter of the leasing brokers out there. It's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts. The next topic I want to talk about, Chet, is kind of industry relationships and what they've meant to your career. I think we kind of classify equipment finance. I mean, you said it right off the bat. A lot of people fall into the industry. It's not something you necessarily go to school for or know about it. And then it's once you get in, you typically don't leave.
Yeah, it's a great industry. It's a great industry. Why would I go anywhere? As far as relationships that I've built, quite frankly, there's several brokers that I've got reciprocal relationships with. We talk about what we're going through with regards to certain lenders or industries, ways that we're able to overcome some challenges. As far as the funding sources that we work with, the relationships are paramount. There's anybody that's been a broker has had both sides of the coin when they work with lenders. There's lenders that are just there to basically read the broker guide to you when you ask a question. And then there's lenders that are there to really kind of, escort you to success, right? Try to find ways to help you, and as opposed to just giving you a yes or no answer, right? And that's about growing a relationship, right? That's helping somebody else, which inevitably helps you. And the lenders that we have the strongest relationships with, those are the lenders that we do far and away the most volume with, right? Because we know we can lean on them, right? It works more like a partnership. Gosh, I think all the relationships I have right now, quite frankly, are in this industry, Jesse. So I don't even know where to keep going. I'll tell you another great relationship that we've had. I mentioned Bob Rinaldi earlier and his group, Rinaldi Advisory Services. So big fan of Bob. I know he's done this here with you before, and I think you met with Liz too. I only know what I've experienced in this industry. And, same thing goes for my business partners, right? We only know what we've experienced, what we've encountered, but there's a lot of unknowns out there. And we've relied on a relationship with Bob now for, I think, shoot, probably about 5.5 years, um, to have people in your corner, that know way more or way different things than you do. It allows you to create almost like a mastermind group for your business. And so that's what I feel like we've done a great job at, is forming relationships with outside, even competitors, or lender partners, and folks like, Bob Rinaldi and his team. It's really put us in a position where we know things that we wouldn't know, right? We would have to experience additional challenges in order to learn, from these situations. But you know, having a group of people that are there to support you, that have your best interest in mind, quite frankly, it's how we got to be who we are today. It's allowed us to grow. It's allowed us to make, smart decisions, with the business. And Yeah, we can't do it on my own. And neither, my business partners and I, we do the best we can. But we're glad to have, some friends in the industry and people that we can count on for assistance.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, Bob was key in me kind of going. I don't know if you know this, but he was kind of key on me going out of my own.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
love Bob.
So yeah, great guy. Next topic I want to talk about is I ask everyone who comes on the program to give me a little fun fact about themselves. So I guess what makes Chet tick? Now that I already spilled, but I didn't know the art thing beforehand. So
Yeah,
what
I
what
was going to say that I'm going to answer that question up front. Well,
Well, I mean, if that's one of the main things, that's fine too. But what else makes you tick outside of equipment
it
finance?
is it is part of it, right? So, I think a lot of people that I've met in this industry that have known me for years have seen me change over the years, just like everybody else has, right? We learn things about ourselves. And I mentioned earlier about, during COVID, right? Finding this creative outlet for myself. Um, I think something that is, well, I wouldn't say it's unique about me, but what a lot of people probably don't know is, I put a lot of emphasis on creating balance in my life. Um, and that is specifically why, I jump into painting, right? I mean, we spend a lot of time, stressing out over numbers and what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. Um, and it can be exhausting. Um, and I let stress run my life for a good chunk of my career. Um, Finding balance in my life, both with my personal life, my work life, eating, sleep, meditating, all these things, have really kind of helped mold me into, what I feel is I'm much more confident, I'm much more effective, um, and I'm open to other ideas. Right? I don't think I know everything. I don't even want to know everything, um, and it has put me in a spot where I'm not stress free. But
To say if you're stress free, come on, man, help me
well,
out.
look, I moved out to Vegas 7.5 years ago, and I'm like aged 20 years since I've been here. So, you know what the dry weather climate can do to you. So, finding a way to keep myself young, or have a good time, enjoy the fruits of our labor, but obviously, also put myself in a position to not need much, has really kind of leveled me out, made me a much more happier person, and probably a lot easier to deal with. um, but yeah, a big part of that is my creative outlet. I do paintings. I'll do abstract paintings. I'll do I've got some landscapes that I've done. I
Nice.
get into weird, sculpture type art and clay, and man, anything that gives me something fun to keep my hands and my mind busy when I'm out of work is probably a benefit to everybody.
See, I'll participate with you, but I'll just have a glass of wine or a martini in my hand and draw
Yeah,
stick figures. So but yeah, I'll be
hey,
there. I'll be there as a support person. But
let's
I
do
have
it.
low expectations of my art.
But I think like everybody else, right? I've got my personal side and I've got my work side, um, and I've made a real strong focus over the last 4 years to make those two people be less different, right? And that is to bring more authenticity into the workplace and take some of that organizational structure into the home. And yeah, I've found it to be pretty awesome, man. Life can be pretty cool when you find a way to manage your stress in a little bit better way.
Still forever learning, I guess.
Aren't we all?
Forever learning, forever
I probably
forgetting.
had a couple of panic attacks in the last week. It's all right.
Fine.
It's better than the 20 I had 3 years ago. No. But no, but for real, I think it's extremely important
Yeah, the
to
work-life
find that
balance is a
balance.
major topic. We talk about that all the time at our
Mhm.
EF Cares events. It's like, how do you
Yeah,
do it? And people are like, how do you do everything you do? I'm like, the best I can. I think that's
yeah,
the answer. It's like, do things get missed? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm human. Not perfect.
absolutely, absolutely.
So my final question I have for you, Chet, is
Mhm.
why should someone want to do business with Chet, Zeken, and Smarter Equipment Finance?
Yeah, well, I think as a broker, we play with other people's money, right? That's just kind of that's just kind of part of the deal. I think what we have to do, because we're not getting better rates than anybody else, right? We're not getting better terms. We don't have products that are necessarily unique. So where we have to come across is going to be in our communication, our dedication to the service of our clients, um, and just brutal honesty. Um, and then taking all of those, combining them with technology, and being able to do that with speed, has been a big win for a lot of the vendor partners that we work with and our clients. Right, things don't need to take as long as they used to, so we're spending the time on making these improvements, uh, because it's what our clients are going to need, right? They need something fast. Our vendors need answers fast, and our lenders don't want to be sitting around on open approvals, right? So I think by taking a strong focus on, uh, creating I don't know, a unique and personal experience for the vendor and for the customer, has really given us a lot of opportunities to move forward. We build trust, and we won't do anything to break that trust. Um, and if I'm going to lose a deal, we're going to lose out. We're going to lose the deal gracefully, right? We're not going to pull straws to try and keep a deal. Um, we're just going to shoot. We're going to shoot everybody straight, and that tends to work out in our favor, and we're happy with that. Um, but yeah, it really comes down to our dedication to excellence, right? And that can be a general term, but what it means to us is through service, communication, and speed.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chet. Congratulations on almost 9 years with Smarter Equipment Finance and a great career. Excited to
Thank you.
see the future of for yourself and your organization, and I look forward to seeing you. I guess when this airs a week from now,
We'll
in your
see you very
backyard.
soon. Awesome.
All right, sir. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. It was fun. Appreciate you, Jesse.
All right, take care. Bye.
Cheers.